disruptive.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. And let's get right into the story before we get silenced out for good, because it seems like a glaring possibility, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not kidding you. It's not even a hyperbole at this point with the censorship tactics that are going on right now, with the passing of Bill C-11 here in Canada, the censorship reign that's plaguing across the Western democracies here in Canada and the United States, and pretty much around the world when it comes to things like COVID, when it comes to the Ukraine war, when it comes to, you know, how NATO has just taken over of our dialect when it comes to stuff like this. It is deeply concerning that we're at a standpoint where freedom of speech, and in the information era, when we're, you know, so high tech, when we're in the universe of having the world at our fingertips, that we could lose it, and we could be entering into the dark ages, continuing down this path of demonizing people for their speech, for different opinions that are outside the establishment norms. And that is just deeply concerning. And it should raise a lot of alarm bells for anybody. And it definitely does for me, not just as a content creator, but as an individual person. And as an individual person who has a principle to free speech, I'm definitely concerned about the fact that, you know, anybody's speech is going to be silenced out by these new tactics. So it's happening here in Canada, we obviously know, with Bill C-11 passing and other measures, but this is even more of a shock in the United States. The United States, which is land of the free, home of the brave, and kind of had the markup, was the kind of the proclaimer of the fundamental principle of freedom of speech. That was one of the things I can admire the most about America, was you had a constitutional right in front of you that gave people the principle and right of passage to freedom of speech, is getting doubled down even worse to censorship. And this is deeply alarming. So there's a new bill that's about to be held up in Congress here. And this guy here, Raymond Zeno, points out, it says, if approved by Congress, a recently introduced Senate bill by Senator Michael Bennet would establish a federal commission responsible for monitoring America's speech for instances of misinformation and hate speech. So what it seems like is they're trying to reattach the failed attempt. Remember when Joe Biden announced that he was going to take part of Homeland Security and he was going to branch that off to monitoring information on the internet when it came to COVID, and how much of a failure that turned out to be? It seems like they're trying to rehatch this once again. And it is just absolutely crazy to think that in 2023, in this lifetime, that we have the internet, we have information out the wazoo, that this is a possibility. In the land of the free, the home of the brave, and with freedom of speech in your constitutional right, that your federal government is proposing, hey, we need to clamp down on it because people are reading more, people are waking up to things, and we don't want readers out there. It seems like a joke. It seems like a comedic bit right now. You don't want the plebes to be reading up on things, because then they might know things. And if they know things, then they might know that we're the ones that are screwing up their lives and oppressing them, and that's dangerous. So we got to silence as much as possible. So he also points out this new bill being introduced as of May 18, 2023, is a bill to establish a new federal body to provide reasonable oversight and regulation of digital platforms. In other words, it's another surveillance tool. That's literally how you can dumb this down to simple language. Like, it is just absolutely crazy that they're, trying to do cartwheels and somersaults to make this sound pleasing and pleasant. Like, it's all just regulations. We want to make sure things are safe on the internet. Think of the children. In fact, I think that was one of the things that Michael Bennett, who's a Democratic senator of, I think, South Dakota or North Dakota, one of the Dakotas, he even pointed that out, that this is about the kids. That we need to silence people on social media. We need to silence people and their freedom of speech because a child might look at that and it's dangerous to them. It's so lunacy that it's almost to the point of barbaric. So luckily this guy breaks it down for us because it is a long bill. It's a lot of reading, and it is just chock full of filler. That's what I could say about this bill. It is chock full of useless, undermining BS filler. And all it really is to clamp down on social media users and have basically an oversight the same way that the CIA and the FBI are already surveilling us. They want to see an oversight of people using social media to make sure we're using words correctly, to make sure that our posts are aligned and okay in natural society. That's basically what this is about. But this guy says, under the proposed bill, the commission would form a code council comprising 18 members, which would establish enforceable behavioral codes on social media platforms and AI, including disinformation experts. So it is just going to be a room full of councilmen deciding what is true and what isn't, which is just absolutely stupid. It's absolutely insane. Do you not realize that that never works? At what point in human civilization has censorship ever worked for mankind? One of the biggest things of human life, one of the biggest things of a growing, evolving society is diversity of thoughts, diversity of opinions. Like, we're supposed to have conversations. We're supposed to have debates and decorum. That's how we build. That's how we evolve. That's how we, ration out ideas. And then we test those theories. We test those ideas. That's the whole point of living life. Instead, they just want to bring us back to the Dark Ages, which was not good for human development. You had peasantry that were just working the fields and didn't know jack squat, while the lordship had all the information, keeping away from the peasantry because they were worried that the peasants might be reading on the fact that they're the ones getting screwed over by the lordships. And now we're experiencing that in 2023 because of Russiagate, because of COVID, because of NATO, because of these global elitists, the World Economic Forum, all these digital bankers that are notorious masterminds that are overtaking our governments, our society, our culture. It's unbelievably insane how far this goes. The newly proposed bill, or the newly proposed commission, the Federal Digital Platform Commission, would consist of 5 commissioners who would be appointed by the president and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. So, you literally don't have a say in this. You literally don't have a say on this, because nobody wants this. Nobody on the street, unless you're watching MSNBC 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and chock full of Rachel Maddow trivia, nobody is going to be wishing and hoping for this bill. So, of course, it's going to be conjoined by the president, by the U.S. states, by all the senators that want to keep their criminality quiet from the rest of the public. It literally is amazing that they want transparency for thee, but not for me. Because they know if we knew about them, that more people would rise up. And that's why they're scared by this. They're scared because of people like me, because of independent content creators, because of independent journalists. They're freaked out by bloggers. They're freaked out by TikTokers. That's why they had to do that whole Showpa, trial and try to take TikTok down as some sort of evil, nefarious organization, even though the real evil, nefarious organizations already exist. And they've been hacking data for the last decade, and nothing's been done about it. So the bill outlines the purposes and objectives of the commission in regulating digital platforms in the United States. It aims to serve the public interest, provide access and opportunities, encourage competition, innovation, maintain a diverse market while ensuring transparency. I bet you that tweet, I bet you that part of the bill was written by an AI. There is no way a person with half a brain cell could literally write that up and not laugh themselves to death. That a censorship bill is to serve the public interest and provide opportunities, competitive and innovation by silencing out your competition. This is I don't even have words to say to this. This is how stupid this is. Encouraging competition and innovation, maintain a diverse market while ensuring transparency by silencing people. Because that's the way to go. That's the way to ensure that we thrive. Democracy is thriving when we silence people. That's how we know we have a safe, secure society, an open will, and a freedom for the people, is that we got to take that freedom away. Holy crap. And it's linked to this. So, one of the biggest things to point out is the ADL. That's the Anti-Defamation League, which was once a grassroots movement to actually stop, discrimination, has now co-opted itself, because it's become absolutely corrupted, co-opted itself to be part of the Silicon Valley command center machine. So now the ADL is infusing themselves with the government and big tech companies to decide what information you're allowed to read on the internet. That is kind of the opposite of what the ADL was supposed to be. But because it's so easily corrupted now and co-opted itself with tech fascism, now this is their primary job, is to dictate over the information that you are being presented with. They are going to be the decision makers of what you can see and what can't you see. That is just absolutely crazy. So, I'm going to bring up, this is part of the bill here, and I want to bring reference to this because, like I said, it's a long read, and I just want to point out some of the things here. This is the Digital Platform Commission Act of 2022. So they wrote this last year, and it's being presented this year, that we're going to double down on the censorship. After all the craziness that we had to deal with COVID, after all the craziness of Ukraine, after all the craziness of Russiagate, they're still going to double down on this. They're still going to double down on this. And they think people are just going to fold to more censorship. And like I said, name a point in human history that's silencing the majority, silencing out your own citizens from freedom of thoughts and expressions has ever worked for the good of society, for the benefit and the evolution of society. Name one time that's ever worked out. And they mock, China and the Soviet Union for their tactics. Now we're just copying them and making it even worse. So let me jump to this, because this is the most hilarious part of this bill. is how they state that digital platforms remain largely unregulated and are left to write their own rules without meaningful democratic input or accountability. Just keep in mind that the bill that they're proposing, saying that there's no democratic input or accountability, who exactly is going to be arbiters of this? It's going to be hand selected by people in the feds. It's not going to be selected by you, the user, the one who's actually on social media, the one who's actually using the internet as a tool. You're not going to get your input in there. It's going to be the input of the federal government and the CIA and the intelligence community. They're the ones that are going to have the democratic input. You just have to go along with it. The unregulated policies and operations of some of the most powerful digital platforms have at times. So this is the part where they're trying to explain why they need this bill. The unregulated policies and operations of some of the most powerful digital platforms have at times produced demonstrated harm, including undercutting small businesses. I can't believe they even brought that to attention. Because, first off, social media enhances small businesses. A lot of small businesses use social media as a means of advertising, considering they're small businesses and don't have the lucrative assets of a bunch of advertising dollars. Yes, they're going to make Facebook posts. Yes, they're going to go on Instagram. Yeah, maybe they're going to do a TikTok video here and there. That's kind of how you promote a small business. So, you silencing social media is actually going to hurt small businesses the same way you hurt them when the pandemic came around and you told every mom and pop store to shut down and ride it out. So the same federal government that screwed over small businesses during the COVID lockdowns are then going to say, we're going to save small businesses by also taking away your social media advertising. We're going to oversee the posts that you're going to make advertising your business. How is that not undercutting small businesses? How is that not undercutting and harming, people that are trying to make a living? All the mom and pop restaurants, all the mom and pop, little shops here and there. After they just dealt with the most insane abuse of the COVID lockdown pandemic. They were told to shut down, take away your livelihood, try to ride it out. We'll protect you in the means of a useless CARES Act, which went all the way to Wall Street. It never gave anyone a single crumb. And now they do this to you. This is another dagger in the back. The next one, abetting the collapse of trusted local journalism. The federal government abetting the collapse of trusted local journalism. Again, local journalists use a lot of social media because they don't have the accessibility to go nationwide. And the fact that the federal government has also screwed most independent local journalists out there to the point of bolstering, Rachel Maddow and Lawrence O'Donnell and Anderson Cooper and all those people, Joe Scarborough. The fact that they're going to say this as they're trying to undermine people like Julian Assange, as they're trying to undermine independent journalists who definitely have more credibility to serving their communities and serving the local communities than any other journalist that's on mainstream media. You're the one that are collapsing the trusted local journalist. The local journalist is trying to use social media to reach out to an audience, and you're trying to undermine them and cut them under the rug. You're the ones that are making this collapse by doing this bill. enabling addiction and other harms to the mental health of the people of the United States, especially minors. Yes, it's undermined mental health. You know, the mental health also propaganda. The fact that you've been lied to for how many years now? How many years have they lied to us, manipulated us, got people to believe the COVID myths or, the myth of Russiagate? How long have they played this game and made it into a brainworm of people that are watching this on MSNBC and CNN to the point that they just believe whatever crazy theory that blurts out of Rachel Maddow's mouth without hesitation? Like, let's talk about that mental health. Let's talk about the lies and the absurdities that you have spewed on mainstream media like a disease and just spread it across all your viewers. And then told those same viewers, if you fact check what I said, or if you go read somewhere else, you are a right winger, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're xenophobic, you're anti-LGBTQ. Because that's what those publications did. That's what the New York Times did to its own readers. They told their own readers not to read. What kind of mental health stability is that? Dismantling disinformation, hate speech, undermining privacy, and monetizing the personal data of individuals in the United States without their informed consent. And in some cases, radicalizing individuals to violence. So, does this mean this bill is going to dismantle the FBI? Does this bill also include dismantling the CIA? Because they have shown, internal documents, whistleblowers, and accounts have shown that they have done this for years. In fact, their entire orchestration of the FBI is undercover federal agents occupying into small groups and radicalizing people. The group that was trying to, kidnap the governor of Michigan? Or how about the undercover feds that were January 6th? How about the undercover feds that were part of the, Proud Boys? Or the Oath Keepers? Or whatever group that they cultivized together? Is this bill also going to include dismantling that? And how about the CIA taking your personal data, the NSA taking your personal data and selling it off to Wall Street? Are they going to do something about that? No. But they're gonna manipulate you and scapegoat using these fancy words and terms to make you feel safe while they're screwing you and stabbing you repeatedly in the back. Because they want to silence you out as much as possible and then reaffirm that by saying that this is for your safety. Which is downright diabolical. That is what, fascists used to do back in the heyday. That you have to comply for your safety. It is for your safety that you have to comply with our nefarious demands. Even if they're unethical, even if they're inhumane, even if they're downright disparaging against life, you have to comply with our demands for your safety. The failure of the United States government to establish appropriate regulations for digital platform seeds to foreign competitors, the historic role played by the United States in setting reasonable rules of the road and technical standards for emerging technologies. So, of course, they're trying to use Russiagate to promote this. Saying that, well, there's a lot of foreign entities and, cyber crimes out there, and this is for your safety. Think about all the small businesses and the children and the people that you're harming. That is why we got to silence out more people, cause even more harm for people, and make them even more mentally insane. Because that's how you evolve society. By silencing them out, by not having decorum, by not actually having conversations. according to dimwits like Michael Bennett and the people of Congress who don't even know a thing about social media, who barely know anything about the internet. And yet they have every single bill proposal of trying to squash the means of the internet. It is just downright nefarious, cruel, unspeakable. This is them doubling down on censorship to the next level. And it's just, it's unspeakable that the United States, land of the free, home of the brave, that people are going to look at this and they're going to applaud this. There's some people out there that are going to applaud this and think that this is some sort of victory because there's so many hateful words out there. When they don't even see the troubling that's going to affront them. That's why you need to be principled when it comes to freedom of speech. You know, I defend Alex Jones's speech as much as mine. I defend Jimmy Dore's speech as much as mine. I defend anybody else's speech, even if they disagree with me, even if they think I'm just, some loud fat ass. I'll defend your freedom of speech. I'll defend it for you. Because why does someone else's speech have more value or less value than someone like me? We're all human beings. We all have difference in agreement or whatnot. And that is the whole point of the constitutional right of freedom of speech and freedom of thoughts. We're supposed to have that. We're supposed to have decorum. And if there is, lies, if there are, arbitrations or, direct threats of violence, there's a system for that. There's a legal presence to that. If someone's directly threatening me, I could then sue them. I could bring it to court. I can actually have a matter to it. But to have this is just, it's downright nefarious and gruesome. And it just does the exact opposite of what we're supposed to be doing, especially in 2023. The whole point of the information superhighway, the whole point of the information, the whole point of, having the access of information is we're supposed to learn from it and evolve and grow. Not silencing out, not doing book burnings, not, picking and choosing what sites are acceptable because one says one thing and the other says another thing. Like, it's just absolutely crazy that this is happening. And like I said, even though I'm a content creator, it does concern me on that, but it also concerns me as just a principled person that we're about to lose, especially in the United States and a lot here in Canada too. One of our most trusted values, one of our most constitutional rights of being able to express and have that freedom of speech. We're losing that battle. And I don't know how far it's going to go. I don't know how far they're going to continue down this path. But it's just unbelievably insane. And people need to wake up and realize before they get silenced out. Because if it's going to happen to them, it's going to happen to you. That's why it's important. No matter if you disagree or agree, whoever it is, you always defend freedom of speech no matter what. Because you're either for it or you're against it. That's the matter of the principle.